It is recording now. Yeah. So this analysis was done considering that there is no load, and then we asked if there is an opportunity for someone of you or to think of a similar such device connected at its output. To begin with, you can try with one, but this can feed. So if we have got a logic relationship between input and output, which is say y is equal to say a bar. So this y can feed this a bar information to many other gates, any other block. But to begin with, you can consider only one or two. Then what happens to the voltage level over here, etc. So that is what I placed a question, and I got a reply from Orpon. And Orpon, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Orpon there.
Yes, sir.
I am not sharing the screen anymore. Um, I am taking it off. So can you just tell the key observations from the study that you had done?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can share the maybe the last plot in the chat box, and then tell the summary observation in 2-3 minutes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, am I audible? Hello? Sir, am I audible? Hello?
Orpon, you are audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, sir, like basically, uh, I've
So
shared like
he
the
has shared, Orpon has shared something in the chat box. You can look at the last thing. You can just click it and it will get enlarged and all. And then let him tell what is the summary observation. Yeah, over to
yes,
you, Orpon.
yes, sir. Like when the input voltage is like less than 0.7 volt, the like the first transistor is in cutoff. So the like the output V output from the first transistor is very close to 5 volt. So like the second transistor is in saturation, and as we increase the input voltage from zero point 0.7 volt, the IC like the current through the IC through the first transistor increases. So the drop across RC increases and the V out one decreases. So as V out one decreases, the second transistor like goes from saturation to cutoff. So actually, like as the first transistor goes from cutoff to saturation, the second transistor goes from saturation to cutoff. So like this, there are so following like these observations, like these combinations of different like states, I get like 4 different regions in the input output characteristics. So like the finally I found that the like the transition bandwidth remains same, just in the in the transition region I get like different rollups. Ultimately the transition bandwidth remains same, just I get different rollups in the transition region.
What about this 4.6 volt as VOH?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. That like decreases, like
How
VOH.
how how that number comes?
Sir, like it would be like, sir, it would have been easy for me like if I could share the like the circuit, but like when like that input voltage is less than zero point 0.7 volt, the IC one like the collector current through the first transistor is 0, but like base current flows to the second transistor. So there is some like drop across the RC like the resistance like the RC of the first transistor. So we don't get 5 volt exactly, we get a voltage which is less than 5 volt. Like I calculated and I found that it is 4.6 volt.
Thank you, Arpan. We shall use these in our the discussion that will follow, I think that will make it, the first part of the analysis which you could not share because I didn't ask you to do that. You had already done that part of the stuff. But don't worry. So we shall cover that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So coming to what Otpon was telling, and now we are looking at only one such thing connected to the load, one such thing connected to the load, right? And later on we can increase the number. So one observation that comes, as I said, that this will work as a switch. So input is either low or high, voltage is close to 0 volt, okay, or close to 5 volt, right? So when this is close to 0 volt, what happens at that time? When it is close to 0 volt, to begin with, in this slide, it is when the input is high, so that is, so when input is low, it is there in the next slide. So we begin with input is high. And it's the first consideration that we examine. So when the input is high, this is 5 volt, right? So it will happen, this transistor will be in saturation, deep into saturation. So 0.2 volt or 0.1 volt of that order, that kind of voltage will be there. Just one second. Okay, sorry. In law school, one page is gone, so no powers of faculty member trying to take class from law school, they are not able to do it. So we have to take some action. Anyway, coming back to this discussion. So when this is 5 volt, so this is 0.1 volt or 0.2 volt. So you connect a load at that time over here. Similar load, we are only talking about similar load, and the consideration is that it is part of integrated circuit where many such devices are connected one after another. Okay. So this definitely this transistor is off. No current is flowing in this direction. No current is flowing in this direction. Right. So the output will remain at 0.2 volt. So since there is no current is flowing in this direction, nothing is happening over here. So 0.1, 0.2 volt, that will be there. So whether we connect one load or two loads, similar such device, there is no change in the output. So 0.1 volt or 0.2 volt will be there. Okay. And there is as such no restriction on number of load gates that we can connect. Similar such gates that we can connect. Okay. Now comes the other consideration, right? So when the input is low, and we can begin with one such thing that has been connected, which Otpon studied in detail. So when this is 5 volt, right? Sorry, when this is 0 volt, if no load was there, so this output was 5 volt because no current was flowing, right? Because this transistor was cut off, leakage current we can neglect. Now because of the presence of the load, when this is present, to begin with, we just consider one of them is present. Then what will happen? So since this is 5 volt, so a logic high present here, logic high 5 volt present here, this output will be low for the next stage. This will be around 0.2 volt or so. Going into saturation, so this transistor, like current is sufficient. So the base current is reasonable. Base current is not very small. Okay, and that base current is now this transistor is cut off. This one is cut off. Right, but there is a flow of current happening like this to the ground. Okay, so how you can calculate that current? 5 volt minus 0.7 volt, okay, or 0.7172. I mean, that part we can neglect. So 5 minus 0.7 volt, this value is 1 kilo ohm. So divided by 1 plus 10, that is 11 kilo ohm. So that is the current. Okay, multiplied by RC, that is 1 kilo ohm, is the drop across this RC. So 5 minus that drop is the voltage here. Do all of you get the point? So this voltage at this point of at this V out in presence of load, one such similar device is no longer 5 volt. It is less than 5 volt, whatever that calculation will give you. Is that correct? That is what one key observation Orphan had made. So is it okay with anyone, all of you? Anyone has any doubt? Can I get an audio response that this part is understood, that with load being connected, VOH coming down?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, the other thing that than this being less than 5 volt, so somewhere 5 volt is there. So up to 0.7 volt over here. Okay, so this is, I mean, this one doesn't conduct, right? And there is another case he talked about when it has got sufficient current. I mean, this voltage here, this is 5 volt. Yes, please.
So your voice is breaking and the screen is also like blurring out.
Yes, sir.
Is it? First of all, I have not switched on fan today, and the second thing is, shall I change the internet connection from Institute one to private Airtel? Let me see if it helps. Just I'm trying. One second. Is it better now? I have moved to this mobile hotspot based connection. Are you able to hear my voice properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us continue with this. Right? So the first part is understood. Now when this is 5 volt, right? So this is 0.2 volt or 0.1 volt or so. So current is flowing in this direction. Okay. So that is one aspect. And when it is 0 volt, sorry, current is not flowing in this direction, current is flowing only in this direction. When it is 0 volt, it is 5 volt or so. So current is not flowing in this direction, current is flowing in the other direction. So this is, you have already understood. So And the other thing that we have understood is that this voltage is less than 5 volt because of ICRC drop, which is happening because of the presence of the load, which was not the case before. So this is your 0 volt. Now as you keep increasing the voltage, so 0.7 volt, right? This one, this starts operating. This becomes on. Okay, this transistor becomes on and it enters the active region. So the current now flows in this direction. So there is a drop in Vc. Okay, so current is flowing in this direction as well as this direction because the voltage is sufficient, more than 0.7 volt over here, more than 0.7 volt over here, so that this is on as well as this is on. Okay, as Vc falls, and when it goes to say something like this, output is less than less than 0.7 volt or so, this one stops conducting and only this one is conducting. Okay, so at that time, if you look at the path, the slope, the calculation, you'll see that earlier both, now only one, and it will continue up to some value which is 0.2 volt for this one, and then it will continue like this. Okay, so this is the other key observation that Orphan had in his study. Okay. So two things, one, both the transistors are on, and the other when this load transistor is off, but still it is on, that is in active region. And after that it goes into saturation. So basically two different region in the active so-called transition region. But we are more concerned about cutoff and switching because we are talking about use of this as a switching gate, right? And one thing that we have noted that if the input is high, output is low, we can connect as many number of load gates, there is no issue. But the other thing that we observed from one single transistor study, single such gate connected to the load, similar device connected to the load, that this output is coming down from 5 volt to some other value. Now this gives us something to ponder about, to think about. With one, this is the case. If I connect another two such load, right, then more current will flow because that will also get a path, another similar such device. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I connect a third one, more current will flow. So that way it will keep coming down from 5 volt to some volts, 4 volt, then 3 volt, then maybe 2 volt. I do not know. I mean, you have to do the calculation, right? But then there is a limit. There is a limit up to which it can go. This VOH is now coming down, right? And what is that limit? Can somebody tell me?
VIF.
VOH, we see that it is coming down because of presence of similar surge load. Yeah.
It cannot go down below VIH.
It should not go down below VIH. Am I clear? All of you can understand? Because then this device will not be able to deliver to the load what is treated as high by the input of that load gate. Input of the load gate recognizes something as high only if it is more than 1.66 volt. And this output VOH is feeding as input over here because of the integrated circuit, where we want to connect one after another. So it must not come below that. So that sets a limit to the number of similar such device that we can connect. And this number is called fan out. This number is called fan out. Okay. And so for the circuit that we have considered, this simple circuit that we have considered, we note for input being high, there is no restriction on fan out. But for input being low, there can be a restriction on fan out. The number we can calculate by doing little bit of quantitative analysis. Okay, so here we go. So VIH, as you have noted, 1.66 volt, that is the maximum that we can go, right? And when it is at that particular value, right, then the drop across RC, okay, the ICRC drop that is allowed is 5 minus 1.66 divided by 1 kilo, that is 3.34 milliampere. Is this fine? So that is the, if the current becomes more than that, then ICRC drop will be such that 5 minus that drop will make the V out less than 1.66 volt. Okay. Now, at that, point of time, that when it is at 1.66 volt, right? Then what is happening at the load? What is the load current that is flowing, through these RB and etc. This B junction. So at that time, this load is whatever is the output voltage minus the saturation voltage VB is at. We have considered 0.7 volt, but we can consider 0.71, 72, 73. But this is fine for a quick calculation. So that is, if you subtract divided by 10 kilo ohm, that is 0.096 milliampere. That is taken by 1. And we are talking about connecting similar such devices. So how many such similar devices we can connect? So this will be total current it can deliver divided by current taken by each of the load. So IC driver by IB load, and you get this number, and of course you have to get the floor of this number, not rounding, because if you make it 35, the current will be, this value will be less than 1.66. Okay, so this quick calculation gives us a number which is 34 to be the fan out of a inverter or a logic gate made out of this kind of simple configuration. If anyone has any doubt, please let me know at this point of time. Is it okay? Can I get an audio response that you have understood this?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So now we move to something which is more practical. When we talk about 1.66 volt coming up to that level and we connect 34 such devices, the noise margin is 0. Your VOH has come down to 1.66 volt, right? Which is kind of, unacceptable for practical use of such devices, right? So you have to think of having certain amount of noise margin, right? And by design, the way we have done for input being high, output being 0.2 volt, the noise margin is 0.5 volt, because 0.7 volt it becomes on, right? So if you want to keep similar such noise margin for input being low also, then this is 1.66 volt and 0.5 volt. Okay, so this is the 2.16 volt. We can think of it coming down to a level which is up to this. Then both sides it is 0.5 volt. Okay, so instead of 1.66 volt, if you play with VIH being 1.66 volt and another noise margin of 2.5 volt, 0.5 volt is there. So VOH coming down up to 2.1 volt only, 2.16 volt only. If you substitute those numbers, right, then this is the current 2.84 milliampere, at that time load current changes from 0.096 to 0.15 milliampere, and if you just divide, you get the number 19. Okay, is this understood? So if you give you some small problem in tutorial or in class test, you should be able to do it. Okay. So if you look for more noise margin, of course, fan out will further reduce. But for practical circuit, again, more practical consideration if you bring into picture, the number will become even lower. Why? Because in our study, which is a bit simplistic, we have not considered variations such as this. What are they? So this beta forward we have considered 50, but beta forward can, once the manufacturer gives you, right, it is not very sure that it is 50, or it can lie within the range 20 to 100, right? So for conservative design philosophy, you will be picking up that beta which is giving a lowest setup number. Okay. VB set, we said 0.7 volt, but it can be 0.75, maximum it can be 0.75 volt. Again, in the calculation, wherever VB set comes and final, if you write in the form of all these parameters, so the value which gives you a lower number that you have to pick up. Similarly, VC set ranges from 0.2 volt to 0.1 volt. Then power supply, you have considered 5 volt, but you have to see that what kind of, how good is the power supply. Is it, plus minus 2%, plus minus, 5% changes that could be there? Okay, plus minus 10% that change could be there. How good is this one? Then basically we're talking about 4.5 volt to 5.5 volt. If it is plus minus 10%, right? Depending on what power supply you are using. Then again, you have to pick up the one in that formula, in that equation, that one gives you the lowest number. Similarly, RCA and RB, you have considered to be, exactly 10 kilo ohm, 1 kilo ohm, but there can be variation also, right? So, and the variations may not be always in a, coming in the calculation in a manner that one is cancelling out the other. So, you have to look at that, and putting all together, you will see this number coming even less than 10. Okay. So people will not connect more than that number, whatever is the fan out. So if you look at the data sheet, you will see a more conservative number being there, because they want to ensure that the device doesn't malfunction or doesn't give something which is not as per design choice. Okay, something ambiguous or something incorrect. Okay, so if you look at data sheet, you will look at this kind of definitions like transition width, logic swing, noise margin, okay, and fan out. So this is another important thing. Fan in is less important, but in some cases it can also become important, that how many devices you can connect in the input. That part we shall discuss later. Okay. So we now go to the second part. All of you can see the lecture 2 on screen in your computer. Can I get audio response?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So we are talking about data sheet and some of the important parameters that you will come across. Other than that, the ICs that you will be working with in the lab or in any design project that you do, they are kind of in a black box. It has got certain number of pins, 14 pin, 16 pin or more than that, a power supply, a ground and some truth table kind of stuff. But if you do not know, you do not get to see what is there inside. Okay. However, these are the practical issues. Unless you take note of, then you will see that whatever you have designed and whatever is the performance, there is a difference in that. And definitely later on, when we take the design aspects, we shall consider this practical aspect as well. We'll just not go by the Boolean equation or the formula. And if you just look at those formula, you will see that if I write, say, y is equal to, just an example, a bar b plus cd, right? Then how do you realize it from your basic electronics course, right? If a is your input and inverting input are not readily available, you are getting only non-inverting input. So you put a NOT gate over here, then an AND gate. What is it? And still people are waiting in the lobby, 10:40. I'm admitting everybody whenever I get an opportunity, but still I do not know. Anyway, when I go to that screen, if they are still there, I'll see. Right? So this is your, circuit that you have kind of, studied in your earlier courses. Are you, all of you are okay with this kind of, circuit diagram using logic symbols? Can I get audio response?
Yes, sir.
Anyone has any doubt, you can please, tell that. Don't feel shy. So, if you look at this, the Boolean equation or realization, right? And of course, there is a truth table associated. You'll think or you will take it for granted that the input output relationship is instantaneous in nature. That means whenever input occurs, exactly the same time output is also occurring. If it is occurring at t is equal to 0, then it is output is also occurring at t is equal to 0. Okay. So that is again something which is not practical. That is also not practical. Other than whatever I have talked about, the practical issues, fade out, noise margin, etc. Okay. This is also not practical if we just look at design equations in this manner. Why? Because each of these gates, NOT gate, later on we shall see AND gate and OR gate, etc. I mean the inside circuitry. Okay. But each one of them are made up of components that we have seen before in the previous set of slides. Resistance, transistor, then there is parasitic capacitances, junction capacitances. It goes into the saturation, it comes out of the saturation, which takes time. I mean the transistor that are to go into cutoff and saturation. So each one of them has got a timing element associated with it. Okay, even if it is of the nanosecond order, right? But still, it is not instantaneous, and the way we want them to operate in today's context, the clock frequency or the operating frequency, which is also of similar order. We are not so we are looking at high speed operation. So these so-called delays that are inherent are of significance, and one need to take note of as a digital electronic circuit, engineer or digital circuit engineer. Okay, I mean electronics or instrumentation or electrical or instrumentation engineer. Okay, so the term that defines it, that the delay that could be there is called propagation delay. This is also part of datasheet and is very important, and you should keep note of it as you move along. Okay, move ahead. So this is due to finite switching speed of transistors and circuit capacitances. This happens, and two terms that are there: propagation delay high to low and propagation delay low to high. Okay. We usually try to work in a manner, the design etc., that both are of same value, but because the charging and discharging part are different, so it is quite possible that they are different. Okay, but we shall try or that they are of similar orders to avoid certain things, and overall propagation delay is average of these two, right? So how we are looking at it? So basically, if you look at the input and output relationship, it was done, and then only you get some such thing. Okay, so you can see that the relationship is that of an inverter. Input is going out and staying at high. The output is going from high to low, right? It is the output is going from low to high, right? That is what you can see. And so the propagation delay, you can say in one definition, the 50% of this, the difference, the time difference between this, when it is at 50% and when this crosses the 50% of the value, right, based on this excitation, based on this input, that time difference is the propagation delay. Here it is going from, output is going from high to low, so that is why this is marked as T, P for propagation delay, high to low. Okay, similarly T, time propagation delay, low to high, again this 50% to 50%, right, whatever is the value. So important to take note of that this is finite, and this equation has limitation that you cannot kind of present it, present the delay aspect of it here, and timing diagram is what is required. Other than that, this term you are familiar with, the rise time and fall time, so that is 10% to 90% and 90% to 10%. Okay. Next comes when you use these kind of circuits, called very important parameter, practical issue, right? And that often decides which logic family you will use, right? For example, the one that we have started with, for it being simple and easy to understand, where only resistance and transistor was used, we cannot continue with it for modern application, current application. One reason is the power dissipation, and we have to look for a suitable alternative. One reason for it is power dissipation. That is also very important. Okay, because always you are not using the circuit by connecting it to a power supply, which is delivering infinite, so-called infinite amount of power. It is plugged to a socket in your home or in your lab environment. So you are using a power supply which is coming from a battery, and so it has got finite amount of energy that it can deliver. The other thing is that it will get heated, right? and the amount of temperature rise it can, so then the cooling effort will be required. So you have to have a fan, you have to have a fins, and the size of the area will become increased. So many other things that comes into consideration if you look at the practical aspect of it, for which you will look for the power consumption being as low as possible. Okay, so how much power it consumes, that is also is taken note of and is a part of the data sheet that you will study, and you should not simply skip through those numbers. So you should absorb those numbers and understand what is the significance of those numbers. Okay. So two terms comes here. One is called static power dissipation, when transistor is either on or off. Okay. And depends on the amount of current drawn in each case, and the static power dissipation will be average of these two, right? And this is significant, the static power dissipation in switching of bipolar junction transistor. Okay, so the example that we had studied before, of course we shall look at better design, so that will come later. So this is the most earliest one. So you can see, even if no load is connected, then when it is low, right, this is high, no current is flowing. But when it is high, this is low, a significant amount of current flows, right? And if load is connected, then even if it is low, some the current will be flowing, and we had done some calculation. Accordingly, power consumption, etc. Right? So that is what is meant here, right? And what is dynamic power dissipation? When transistor switches from low to high or high to low. So we have seen that it passes through active region for some time. So the transistor, even if we can have configuration that during its stable states, when it is low or high, power consumption is minimal or zero, but we cannot avoid power dissipation during switching. Okay, so that is the dynamic power dissipation that we are talking about. And of course, you can understand it depends on the switching speed, dynamic power dissipation. It will be a function of frequency. So more the switching, more such occurrence of low to high or high to low travel, and during that journey, however quick it might be, there is an element of power dissipation coming, right? And this is what you will see being the most dominating or significant factor in CMOS transistors. So CMOS transistors, later on we shall study in detail. So this is the inverter. Okay. So if it is the input is above threshold voltage, so this NMOS will conduct and PMOS will be off. I mean, in other way speaking, when it is high, this will conduct and this will be off. This is on, right? And when it is low, this will be on and this will be off. So in no situation from VDD to ground there is any current flow happening in either of the stable states, right? And output is connected to similar CMOS device. These are field effect device. It doesn't draw any current as such, right? So so that way, I mean, when it is high or low, this load current, etc., that doesn't come into picture or is of consideration. Then the power dissipation that comes when it is moving from PMOS is becoming on and NMOS is becoming off. So during the switching process, momentarily both of them becomes on, and then there is a current flow. Only during switching. and the other way around, right? So that is what is being mentioned here. You get my point? So obviously, the more the switching, more will be that value. It could be there for BJT based cases also that we shall discuss later, but it is more prominent here for CMOS based device, and this is more prominent here for BJT based device. Is it clear? Static power dissipation and dynamic power dissipation.
Yes.
Good. Now comes one term called figure of merit. Okay. It is found, again we shall discuss it in detail later, that for a particular arrangement, for a particular logic family with the resistance, etc., capacitance or transistors that are all connected, if you increase the value of the resistance say by 5%, you get my point? You are increasing the value of the resistance by 5% in such a manner all the resistances that what is it called, the biasing etc. doesn't get hampered, and the circuit doesn't do something differently from what is intended. Now can you tell me what will happen to the power dissipation front at that time if I increase the value of the resistances?
It would increase.
Increase. Okay. Anyone differing?
Like which resistance are you increasing? The collector resistance.
You can answer all the resistances I'm increasing. Will it increase?
So maybe you would have to calculate that, like.
You have to calculate. Okay, so good. That's why it is a follow-up course of analog electronic circuit. Okay, if you really want to understand what is happening inside. Okay, we shall take it up more in greater detail. One thing that I have perhaps not mentioned, it is not only I square R loss. Probably that is what was in your mind. Okay. See, the loss is also there within the transistor, which is VC multiplied by the IC, the circuit diagram that I am having in mind. So this is also power dissipation is happening across it, across the transistor, which will make the transistor warm and all, and ultimately it can fail also, right? And so actually lowering the resistance value increases the value of the current. Okay, and more the current, more the loss that we'll see. In general, you can do the calculation later on and you can verify it. So generally speaking, the reduction in the value of resistance increases the power dissipation. Okay, but then while it is bad in certain sense, can you tell me reduction in resistance, what happens to the propagation delay if I reduce the this power dissipation? Reduce the resistance value. What happens to the propagation delay?
So the propagation delay is related to like RC, right?
RC,
like the time constant.
Because there are capacitances across this junction, across this junction.
Keeping the capacitance constant, if you reduce R,
these capacitances are constant, of course. These are the junction capacitances, where the drawing that I'm doing at the load at the input side.
Time constant, the propagation delay should decrease.
Propagation delay should decrease. Very good, very good. Okay, so you can see that these are two competing things. From design point of view, on one hand, you would like to reduce the propagation delay so that faster, speed of the operation increases, and you can use for high speed performance, right? But lowering propagation delay is desirable. And if you do not do anything differently to completely change the design architecture and all, one way to do that is reducing the transistor value by a small amount without disturbing the circuit at large. But then that will increase the power dissipation. So if you are looking for some figure of merit of a particular design topology, design architecture, design structure, so propagation delay power dissipation multiplied by propagation delay. So this is power dissipation, and propagation delay is TPD that we have considered before. So these two product is what you are actually looking at to compare one over the other, because with small changes in resistances value, power dissipation can be reduced. Okay, but increasing the value, but propagation delay will also increase. Okay, so that is not desirable. So you are not actually coming up with a new design which is better than the previous one, because product is something which is defined as figure of merit, that is not actually changing in that sense. Okay, so this is another term that is what we consider when we talk about the logic family, the performance metric of a particular logic family. Okay, is it clear? Can I get an audio response?
Yes, sir.
In this full screen mode, I cannot see the chat box. So if any one of you has any question, you can just give a audio. You can ask it. Now I come to something which was really existed, which was not just a thought experiment, right? Earlier we had seen the circuit that was working as a NOT gate. Right, this circuit you have seen before. So input-output relationship was that of a NOT gate, right? But we need a little bit more than that. So one thing, other logic gate, one thing is to think of, to begin with, having gates that are universal logic gate. You know what is universal logic gate? Do you know what is universal logic gate?
NOT and NOR gate.
Sorry?
NAND and NOR gates.
NAND and NOR. Why are they called universal logic gate?
Yes, you can essentially construct any other logic gate with this.
Right. So we shall look into that with little more, detail with some examples, etc. in future. So here it is important or enough for us at this point of time to consider that NAND and NOR are universal logic gates. They are called universal logic gates because other logic gates can be made up of these NAND and NOR logic gates. Okay, but that may not be a very efficient design. So those things we shall see later on. But if we can get NAND and NOR, we can get others also. That is what is important at this point of time. So this circuit that we have studied before, if you just give a little bit of tweak where the RC part remains same, okay, and one parallel block of RB that we bring, and then this circuit A and B, two input one output circuit, it will behave like a NOR gate. Can you examine it yourself? Then I shall have the pleasure of asking any one of you randomly to answer that. Why it is NOR gate? Okay. So what your analysis says?
So like if only when both of the transistors are off.
Just wait. I'll pick up a name. Kari Lokesh, are you there? Kari Lokesh. Kari Lokesh. Can you explain why it is NOR gate?
If A or B is high, V out is 0.
Zero means how much voltage? If A is 5 volt, B is 5 volt, then Y is how much?
Nearly 0.
No, just give some number. Zero means what? 0.001?
0.7.
Y is 0.7. Okay, why so? What makes you think that it is 0.7?
Saturation region, sir.
Saturation is 0.7 volt.
So sorry if I'm just saying a mistake.
Were you present yesterday's class in full?
Yesterday I'm not present, sir. Like I'm having an issue with Wi-Fi, so I'm not present yesterday.
So did you go through the slides that I have shared?
Sir, I'll be going today, sir. Like I'm not feeling well too. Like just vaccinated. I'll go through today, sir, for sure.
Okay. Again, in the interest of time, I now ask whoever feels like answer this. How this is an organ? Anyone volunteering? Preferably who has not spoken before, so that everybody gets an opportunity. Anyone volunteering? Again, in the interest of time, if I call, then I do not know. I mean, can anybody come forward? Apurva Anand.
Yes, sir.
Please explain.
So when A and B both will be high, Y would low. Y would be low because of the two transistors. And when
Two transistor is what? Two transistor. This sentence remaining incomplete. Two transistor what?
so connected to R, both A and B.
So when both A and B are 5 volt, what happens to these two transistors? Why this Y is low? These two transistors?
That would be below the saturation.
So how much will be the voltage?
Uh,
there is no term, technical term called below the saturation. They will be in saturation. One can say that deep into saturation. Below saturation, there is nothing like this. No term. Anyway, that is a small minor correction. Then what will be the voltage over here? What kind of voltage you expect at Y?
So it would be low, like below 0.7 or
Below 0.7 volt. So below 0.6 volt, 0.5 volt is okay, right?
yeah, it would be something low so that it would result in 0.
Will somebody volunteer, or this show will go on like this?
Sir,
So,
I can try.
Yeah, please,
Hello.
please. Himabindu?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yesterday also you spoke, but as I said, now it is open. Even if you have spoken before, you can continue. Yes, please go ahead.
So when both A and B are 0, both the transistors will be in cutoff state and Y will be high.
High means how much voltage?
5, sir.
5
No
volt if
current.
no load is current, no load is connected. And
Yes,
if
sir.
load is connected, depending on the analysis done before, it will be a bit less than that. Okay.
Yes.
That
Yes.
frame. So when both of them are low, this is near about 5 volt for no load, and little less than 5 volt, but sufficiently close to 5 volt to consider this as a high. Go ahead.
Yes.
First row is
When
understood.
any of the inputs is high, then there will be a path for, so that will be in saturation and Y will be 0.2, which is close to 0.
So any one of them, A or B, is 5 volt. So that particular transistor will be in saturation. So saturation means output voltage is 0.2 volt or little less than that, maybe up to 0.1 volt deep into saturation. And this being parallel, right, if this is cut off and this is on, so the common node voltage over here will be taking the 0.2 volt, because this is cut off, this is not participating, right? So that is low, and because of the symmetry, this is also low. And when both of them are high,
Even then it will be 0.2 only, so both of
0.1
them.
because of their parallel and all, right? Okay. So if you now look at
Sir?
this truth table, yes, please.
When both are high, will it be 0.2 or like less than, a bit less than 0.2?
Yeah, I mean, that will be less than, in both the cases, it will be less than 0.2 volt. 0.2 volt, you have seen, it is around 1.66 volt.
Yeah.
So like I think like
So if you go deeper into that part, 5 volt around, at the input side, it will be around 0.1 volt.
sir, I think when both are high, Y will go to 0.2 volt earlier, like before 1.66 volt. I think when both are high.
Earlier means? Earlier means?
So like when A and B, like when both are like in the high state, Y will reach, like if we use a single transistor, we've seen that at 1.66 volt the like output, like the transistor goes to saturation. I think like when both are high, like through our two currents will flow, right, due to the two transistors. So it will go to like saturation before 1.66 volt. I think like at a voltage less than 1.66 volt.
So you are talking about input-output curve. Are you referring to input-output curve?
Yes, sir. Like yeah.
Okay, that is not we are considering here. Okay, so we are considering that either it is at 0 volt or 5 volt. 0 volt means close to 0 volt, 0.1, 0.2 kind of thing. 5 volt means close to 5 volt. Okay.
Okay,
And
sir.
what will happen that if we connect to both of them as common, and then we keep increasing the voltage, and what happens to the transistor transition region, that part we are not studying here. We are just trying to understand this truth table, whether it follows this circuit or not. Okay.
Okay, sir.
But what you say is, that can be analyzed. But as of at present, it is not under consideration. Okay. Now, so this is 2 input cases. So we can have 3 such input cases also. So that will be a 3 input kind of stuff. Any one of them being high, being high, the output will be low. And when all of them are low, then only the output will become high. So you can go on adding it, right? And if you do it, you will find that the response time, the propagation delay time, we are not analyzing it. It is left to you, those of you who are interested to look at that the performance, there will be a certain amount of performance degradation, and in terms of the delay associated with the circuit. And fan-in is something which I told that I mean, as we have got fan-out, we have also fan-in. That is the maximum number of inputs a gate can handle within the performance, boundary that the customer or that the user defines. Okay, so here 2, 3, 4 you can go on adding, but not infinity. Okay, because then there will be deterioration in the performance metric, which is not acceptable to the. Now, how the circuit works?
Sir,
Yes, please.
can you again explain the cause for fan-in? Like your voice got cut off for a few seconds.
Fan-in, it will deteriorate some performance metric, like the delay associated in the switching, and if it goes above certain value, then the customer might not be interested in using this kind of product. Okay, so
Yes, got it.
they are all interrelated. Okay, we can add one mode or another. Okay, but it should not deteriorate, or it should not make other parameters suffer in a way which becomes unacceptable.
Sir, what would we prefer if we want to take more number of inputs than that?
We shall change the logic family. This logic family has got a particular fan out. This logic family has a particular fan in. Okay.
So,
what
kind of logic family? How would it deal with
that? We shall discuss. Okay. Or we shall break it into more such component. So this A bar is said driving. Say it can fan out is a 5.
So
and
like dividing the problem into sub problems and like that.
Yeah, good. So this A bar for this family, it can drive fan out is a number is 5, and you want 10. So this is A, and then there is an inverter which is generating A bar. So you'll generate another, you'll put another device to generate A bar, and that will be served by the other, that will serve the other 5. You are not compelled to use only one here. You need A bar to drive 10. This A bar output is to be sent to 10 such similar devices. But fan out is say 5. Then what will you do? You generate 2 such A bar from A instead of 1. Give 5 here, give 5 there. Get my point? So we will change the architecture and all. And also, you can think of changing other logic. You know, if you are use only A bar, you look at a logic family which can give 10. So these are all design choices. Okay. And yes, please.
But if we divide it into sub-problems, like we might have a problem with the cost criteria.
Yeah, again, very interesting. I'm so happy. So cost is another thing. So people will, would ask you to optimize
the size
the cost.
of the devices combinedly would increase very much if there are more number of inputs.
Right. Cost will increase, then the size will increase, right? And number of components, and the miniaturization will suffer. But then you have to deliver. I mean, if 10 are to be connected, you have to deliver it to 10. This A bar has to be delivered to 10. And then you can think of optimization. That's why when you study later on, maybe you have already been exposed that why we optimize the circuit. This Karnaugh map, these, Queen McCluskey, QM algorithm, so many other things are there. It is just not a theoretical exercise you are forced to do and you just learn it for the sake of learning. You implement them. You implement them so that the problem is reduced to something which can make the circuit more at its minimized best in terms of computing design parameters. Okay, so that is the purpose. That's why you learn those optimizing steps. It is not for just keep a tick mark on the bullet that is there in the syllabus. I mean, the syllabus has got these components, so you just need to study for exam and all. Practically, you have to think of what you can do to take care of this. Is it okay? So we shall study all of them. We shall look at other logic family. We shall look at different kind of design proposition, and we shall also look at the minimization, those kind of stuff. Okay. Can I move ahead?
Yes, sure.
So one thing that you can say, this is the one that we have used before. This is called resistance transistor logic. Resistance transistor logic. So this was the very first integrated circuit that was developed in 1970s or so. It followed this resistance transistor logic. Okay. It is no longer used. We are mostly using TTL and its different variation for BJT based, and of course we have got CMOS based device and other thing. Okay, but this is the very first thing that came into existence, came on earth, and it was named resistance transistor logic. And RTL NOR gate looked something like this. Okay, I shall share something more on this later. And if you look at some such diagram, circuit diagram, then you can figure out, I'll not spend much time here, that only when both of them are high, that means both the transistors are in saturation, then only there is a flow of path available. So then only the output voltage will be 0.2 volt to 0.1 volt, sufficiently low. Okay. Only when both of them are high, the output is low. Any one of them is low, that means that transistor is cut off. Okay, so no current flows, right? And then whatever is the VCC that comes here. And if there is any load connected, so that load current multiplied by R2, that will be the VCC minus that drop, but that is sufficiently large to treat it as a logic high. And so any one of them or both of them 0, the output is 1. Okay, and this gives you a NAND logic. Is it fine? I'm spending a bit less time over here because it is similar to the previous discussion. Is it okay? Can you get an audio response? Both being high, then only a path is available. This becomes, one may say it is summation of these two, 0.1 volt over here, 0.1 volt, or 0.2 or 0.2, right? I'm sorry. So 2 VC set is there. So this is 0.2 to 0.4 volt, right? And but that is treated as low only. Okay. Of course, this noise margin etc. will suffer because of this configuration. If you are keeping the next stage at 0.7 volt. Okay. Is this fine? Can you get audio response?
Yes, sir, it's fine.
Okay. So I'll ask you to take a look, 1 minute kind of stuff on this. This is the, as I said, from archive, Motorola datasheet, dual 3-input RTL NOR gate that came up, and something is written over here. Just see. Okay. So look at the circuit diagram and dual 3 input gates. What does it mean? I mean, can anybody tell why it is called dual 3 input gates?
There are 2 3 input NOR gates.
Yes. So one is this one, and another is this one. Though they are part of same circuit, but they are independent. Okay. So this is the output. These are the pin numbers that you can see. Right. So 2, 13, 12, 3 is the output. Then 4 is ground, VCC is ground, 11 is ground. Then 5, 6, 9, 10 is the output. So this 3 is associated with this one, and it is not interfering with the logic over here. So this 3 is associated with this one, right? These are the currents that are there. And for this circuit, the resistance values used and datasheet was talking about power dissipation when input is high and input is low. Okay, input is high, the power dissipation is quite high. I mean, compared to this one. Why? When input is high, power dissipation is much larger. What is the reason? Can somebody tell?
Like when input is high, like more power will be dissipated across the resistors R1.
Right. So input is high. This transistor is not cut off. It goes into saturation. Large amount of current flows. So the power dissipation is relatively much larger. Propagation delay is kind of acceptable and all. It has not given. I mean, one can look into the data sheet, fan out and other stuffs, but we can avoid. Okay. So this is the way it was promoted at that time, that it is medium power, etc., etc. And in today's context, this 55 milliwatt, 15 milliwatt, it is very high power. Okay. Now, as you were telling that what to do if we need to think of alternative. One is, of course, increasing the number of levels, having parallel stops in place and all. Okay. The other is to look at changing the design. Okay. So here we present something which, while RTL was the most primitive, the earliest one, and TTL is the recent one that we are using. Of course, standard TTL and its different variation, which we shall discuss later. In between, there was a phase, something called DTL came. This was also existed in practice, in reality. This is also just not a thought experiment kind of thing. Briefly, it existed, and then people found that a better design can be achieved. So this had a life relatively less, and we moved from DTL to TTL. Okay. So in DTL, what we have, what you can see is something like this getting added. Okay. You don't need to bother much about this R3. Okay. This is just to provide a discharge path of stored charge at B junction that reduces propagation delay for low to high. Okay. So when this output goes from low to high, this goes into the when it was low, it was deep into saturation. So there are stored charges that has to be dissipated. So this is just a path for that. This is not not to be worried much. So this R1 is like your RB, and R2 is like your RC in our previous discussion. Okay, but what we have over here, other than that, there are a set of diodes, for which we call it diode transistor logic. Okay, resistance is also there, but it is diode transistor logic. Okay. Now, I would ask you to refer to something we discussed long back. Long back means maybe in the first class or in the second class. Okay, so previous week. So we discussed this circuit, right? And we kind of identified what is the logic that appears here, the point P. Can somebody remember and tell?
And
And why? Why and logic? Why and logic? You are correct. Why?
So like when both of A and B are high, the D1 and D2 are reverse biased and no current flows through R1.
No current flows through that, then this VCC minus whatever drop over here, it comes here, which is considered to be high, right? And if any of them is low, right, there is a path here, so 0.7 volt will be appearing here and the current is flowing in this direction. If any one of them is low or both of them are low, right? So P will be low at that time. So any one of them low, P is low, or both of them low, P is low, right? Only when both of them are high, then no current is flowing. This voltage is VCC minus any small current that goes into that direction. If you just subtract, then which is considered as high. So P is at AND logic. This you have understood. So P is A and B. Okay. Now let us look at, right? Okay. What these two diodes are doing, if they were not there, what would have happened? If these diodes were not there, then whenever this P is 0.7 volt or so, right, it will start conducting. This one is conducting. This B junction will start conducting. But because of the presence of these two diodes, 0.7 volt drop here, 0.7 volt drop here, and 0.7 volt drop here. Okay, this much of voltage is required over here. Then only it will start conducting. Are you with me?
yes, sir.
Right? So how much is that? So when this voltage Vp is 2.1 volt, then only it will start conducting. If I put one diode, when will it start conducting? At 1.4 volt, Vp at 1.4 volt. Two diode, Vp at 2.1 volt. So in a way, you can say these diodes are behaving like so-called level shifter. It is just shifting the level of input-output curve, whatever it was there, right, to its right, if other part of the circuit remaining same, to some other value like this. Is it okay? Is it fine? The other thing that we can understand over here, because of the presence of these two diodes, when any one of them are low, so it is connected from a similar such device. So this output is in saturation, which is connected to one of such device. So this will be 0.2 volt or 0.1 volt. So 0.2 volt drop here, and this diode, it is now conducting because of current flow in this direction. So another 0.7 volt gets added. So 0.9 volt, right? That is to be treated as logic low. So these diodes were not there, then 0.9 volt will make it conduct. So this output will be low. Okay. Now because of the presence of one diode would have been sufficient. because it would have required 1.4 volt and you have got 0.9 volt, right? Another diode you have added because it is further shifting the level, and this input output curve is somewhat towards in the middle, which might be interesting design choice for the manufacturer who proposed the designer who proposed the detail. Okay, so 0.9 volt, because of this consideration, will not make this transistor on. Make this transistor on because of the presence of these two diodes. Okay.
So I can't understand why the second diode is put there. Like
second diode, without second diode also it can work. It will become on at 0.9 volt.
So it is just
1.4 volt. Okay, it will become on at 1.4 volt. If you put another one, it shifts the level to 2.1 volt. So you have got 0 to 5 volt here total, right? So instead of 0, if it is 1.4 volt, this input output characteristics is occurring somewhere in the middle, 2.1 volt to some other volt, say 3 volt or so on. I mean, whatever. I mean, you have to calculate this value. So this is just shifting it towards right. Okay, or otherwise you can work with 1.4 volt. So this is what the designer thought about, putting another diode over here, which takes the transfer characteristics, the active region towards the middle. Okay, so this can have good thing for more uniform noise.
So why not add one more diode to bring it to 2.8? It would be more close to 2.5.
You can do that. Then if you 2.8, then you have to add another say 1 volt or so. 3.8, then it becomes closer to 5 volt.
No, close to 2.5, like to the middle.
Each diode, if you adds 0.7 volt.
Yeah, so 2.8 is more close to the middle than 2.1.
The transition region is 2.8 volt to some other voltage, which is about another, last time 0.7 to 1.66 we calculated.
So it would be 0.35.
3.7. So this side you have got 3.7 to 5 volt. And this side, this is 0 volt to 2.8 volt. Is it being at the middle?
No, sir, I am talking of 2.8.
Sorry. Do I need to discuss it further? I think we are getting into new logic, I guess. Isn't it? Shall I move forward, or you want to continue with this? Whoever was asking the question. Can I get an audio response from him?
We could also work with one diode, but it was only the second diode to take it to the mid. Like,
did I say no? I mean, I really do not understand what you are trying to prove here. You can add,
yes,
but the designer thought that this is the way to do. When you design, you can think of your own design. Absolutely, nobody's, we are discussing something which people had designed before, and what was the design philosophy that they considered. They considered that this works. This is suitable for them. But they have left the whole world before other designers to think of something else. I do not know. I mean, who are you? I mean, what's your name?
Apurv, sir.
Apurv. I mean, I really just give yourself some time, okay? And I believe you'll be able to understand, because it is common time. or we can discuss offline later on. Okay, so is it fine with others? Can I move ahead or can I get audio response from any other person? Upward
Yes,
stuck is at some point. Okay,
Yes, sir.
and it is.
No, sir, I'm fine. Like,
Yeah, but you are stuck. Okay, there are stuck words and other things. It happens. I will discuss that later on. I'm not, demeaning you. I'm just saying that probably you are taking it a bit longer than what an intelligent student at your level need to. Okay. Anyway, let us go ahead. So while this is the way the DTL was conceptualized at that time, right? And as I said, it was a very brief existence. Then people came to what we see being used currently as standard TTL, and then, as I said, there are other variations of TTL. Okay. So in that, this particular block that you see, this particular block, okay, this was kind of represented by a multi-emitter transistor like this. You can consider two input for the time being, but you can have multiple such input, right? So basically, there is a B junction drop over here, and this is a BC collector drop over here. Okay, though it is not exactly behaving like back-to-back, these diodes connected, but replacing this with transistor gives it certain efficient realization, which was of consideration for the designer to move from DTL to TTL, transistor logic. Okay. And the middle one, okay, diode, they replaced, so there is a diode over here, so they replaced it with a transistor. This, other than whatever you had seen before, it gives an additional thing by which it is termed as phase splitter. Okay. So phase splitter does what? We shall discuss. And finally, this is the output. This is the output transistor that we had in our scheme of things. That is replaced with something called totem pole output. Okay. So this T3, there is something T2 over here and the diode and other stuffs. Okay. And this is the TTL, standard TTL, which became popular after the RTL DTL thing. Okay. Now let us see. We shall discuss its transfer characteristics, etc. later on. Let us see qualitatively how it performs. Okay. To begin with. So you consider that only to begin with, you don't consider that the other inputs are there. It is just a single input kind of stuff. Okay. So when you place a voltage which is close to 0 volt or 0.1 volt or so, what happens to this circuit? Right. So current flows over here, very large amount of current flows because 0.1 volt, this T1 will be in saturation. Okay. So this and this being connected to the base, collector current will be the leakage current or very negligible current will be there. So basically in the emitter current, emitter current is consisting of base current only. So it will be deep into saturation, right? So because the depth of saturation is decided by the amount of base current that goes into the emitter current. Here IC current is negligible. Okay. So this voltage is of the order of say 0.1 volt at this point of time. Okay, so this 0.1 volt, which is occurring here, is definitely insufficient to turn it on, this transistor. So when this transistor is not turned on, okay, there is no question of, current flowing unless some leakage current, etc. We can neglect that. We can keep it out of discussion for the time being. So this voltage is nearly 0 volt or so. So this T3 is off at that time. Okay, this is also off. Okay. Now what happens to T2 when this is at low? So this is 0.1 volt over here. So this is off. This T4 is off. So this is 5 volt and this is 1.4 kilo ohm resistance that is there. So there is a path for it. Okay. And it is connected to say some load or some such thing and or similar such device. And then because of very less current flowing as a base current, relatively less amount of current. So IB RC4 drop is less. So 5 minus that drop, that will occur over here, which is close to 5 volt only. Actual value we shall see later. So this 5 volt, whatever that larger voltage close to 5 volt that is there, that is sufficient for making this 0.7 volt overcome this 0.7 volt and this 0.7 volt, okay, and drive current to the load. So this will become on and this will become on at that time, and this is off. So no current is flowing in this direction. No current is flowing in this direction. The current is going towards the load only. Okay. So when that is the case, so 5 minus whatever drop occurs either through this path, that is IC RC2, then C, that is 0.1 volt or 0.2 volt, and 0.7 volt that will occur at the output. Okay, or if you take it this way, 5 minus whatever drop minus this drop that will occur at the output. Okay, which will be around 3.6 volt or some such thing, which we can calculate later. But that is considered as a logic high. That is considered as logic high, which will appear at the output. So low, the output is high. Okay.
Sir.
Yes, please.
So like if we connect the diode in the base of transistor T2, like will there be any change or like it is same? It will be same.
For whatever we have discussed so far, it is not making any change. When we are talking about overcoming this part of the thing, okay. Okay. But more of that we can discuss and think and pick up later. Now we look at the other option, other extreme of the switching circuit, that input is high. Okay. Then what happens at that time? So let me erase this part first. So this is high. Okay. 5 volt or 3.6 volt or that kind of thing. So at that time, what happens? We'll discuss, we shall go deeper, have deeper discussion later, that current at that time will flow in this direction. Okay, so this will behave like an emitter and this will behave like a collector. So this transistor will work in inverse mode, for which the beta, effective beta is very small. The beta inverse, beta forward we discussed before. So this is beta reverse that will come into picture. So injection efficiency is very low, but some amount of current will flow in this direction, which is reasonable because only you are looking for base current that will be enough to make this transistor on, T4 on. Okay. And when that happens, these resistance values and etc. is chosen in such a manner, the voltage drop across it is such that T3 becomes on. T3 goes into saturation when it is at its high voltage. Okay, so this is goes into the saturation. So the voltage over here at the output will be 0.1 volt or 0.2 volt or that kind of thing. It is connected to similar such device. So from RB etc. the current flows in this direction, right? So this will be the voltage. Okay. And the other thing that we need to look into, that when this is on, that means it is having sufficient current to make it go into the saturation. Okay, so the drop across here is 0.2 volt. Okay, and this is near about 0.7 volt. So this voltage is 0.9 volt. Okay, now will T2 be on at that time when this is at 0.2 volt? This output is on, so 0.2 volt or 0.1 volt. Okay, now because of presence of one decimeter junction here and one diode over here, so 0.9 minus 0.2 or 0.1 depending on how deep it into the saturation. So 0.7 and 0.8, that is not sufficient to make both of them on. You require about 1.4 volt over here. Okay, so at that time T2 is off. So this totem pole output is such that either T2 is on during one of the stable state or T3 is on. Only during switching momentarily both T2 and T3 become on. Otherwise only one of them is on. Only one of them is on. Now with this discussion behind us, can you tell why T4 is called phase splitter? Can anybody tell why T4 is called phase splitter?
If the emitter is low, the collector is high, and vice versa. Is it like that?
Yes, please.
If the emitter is low, then the collector is high, and vice versa. Is it like that?
Right. So basically, these two are 180 degree out of phase. You can see, right? When this is high, this is low. I mean, when you take T2 and T3 is consideration. When this is made high, this is low, and this is low means this is high. Okay, so that's why it is called phase splitter, and this is an additional thing which helps in the power consumption for front, that during static condition within the circuit itself, whatever current it requires to drive the load, that is a separate issue altogether. Okay, but during what is it called, normal operation, within the circuit power dissipation is very low as far as this output low resistance path is there. So this we make it low resistance so that the timing, propagation delay etc. is a bit less. So quickly you can charge, discharge, right? So this side you are discharging path doesn't have any resistance as such but parasitic resistances. But charging path we are only keeping only small amount of resistance, 100 ohm, which is just needed for biasing and all, and we cannot make it 0 because it will burn otherwise. Okay, you get my point? So this is the thing, and so this part is understood. Is it fine? Any question? If not, then we shall close it here. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Thank you then. And I shall share the slides, right? And I need to stop recording as well. Yeah, I have stopped recording.